You're up.
Hi everyone, it's Katie here with Shared Legacy Farms, the CSA coach. I hope some of you are able to hop on to this live video. We are going to be talking about picky eaters today, which seems to be a pretty hot topic, not only among our CSA group with Shared Legacy Farms, but just in the community in general. I think a lot of parents are worried that their children aren't getting enough veggies, and also that even some of the adults in our families might not be getting enough veggies. So picky eaters is a good topic for us to talk about. For those of you that are just joining, like I said, my name is Katie. I'm the CSA coach with Shared Legacy Farms. So when we talk about trying to get more veggies in our daily diet, there's basically two options. We can either hide them and sneak them in so our families or friends don't realize that they're eating vegetables, and then we also can create more tasty recipes that maybe we know that they'll like, where they realize that they're eating fruits or vegetables. So I'm actually a fan of both. I think it's important for people to get the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals from their vegetables. So if I have to hide them, that's okay. But I also think it's really important for people to realize that they like veggies and really start to change their taste buds and get out of their comfort zone and try some new ones. So we're going to talk about hiding vegetables today. We're also going to talk about some ways that kids or adults might realize that they're eating more. My rule for hiding veggies is that you still have to offer vegetables that they can see. Unfortunately, it takes up to 6 times of offering a new food to a child before sometimes they're even willing to try it. So I know as a parent that does not sound that motivating, where I might have to offer something to my toddler 6 times before he's even willing to try it, and he might not even like it. So in the meantime, I'm going to hide and sneak some veggies in, and I'm totally okay with that. I also, as a veggie lover myself, love eating a big bowl of roasted veggies, but I also love knowing that I have a ton of veggies hidden in my chili. So I think it's appropriate for everyone to hide some veggies in their foods. The main thing that came up among some of our Shared Legacy Farm CSA members, and this is probably what I do the most often, is hiding veggies through pureeing them and adding them to our foods. We are going to look at some of those today. This is most commonly done with some of our root veggies. I have carrots here that have been pureed. I just cooked carrots. I blended them in the food processor or blender. And then I actually poured them in a tray like this, a silicone tray, because they seem to pop out easily. But you could also use a regular ice cube tray, although I find that sometimes the food doesn't come out as easily, so I prefer these silicone trays. So I have carrots as an example. You can also do this with things like sweet potatoes, squash that I have here, pureed although not frozen, and those are great options to add to sauces and to soups. Tomato-based sauces tend to work really well. You could thaw these out, throw some in your chili, throw some in your spaghetti sauce, in your lasagna sauce. So a tomato-based sauce tends to hide a lot of vegetables really well. It's also darker in color, so they don't seem to realize that they're there. So when I am pureeing some of these vegetables, that can also be used as an exit strategy. So if I have a bunch of carrots or sweet potatoes or squashes, even beets that I don't know what to do with this week and I need to use them up, I might cook them, roast them, or boil them in a little bit of water, puree them, and then throw them in the freezer, and that way I can grab them out as I need them. So this can also be used as an exit strategy. I have some chili that we had recently made, and you can actually use your favorite chili recipe, whatever you want to do. There's no special recipe that you have to use, whatever your family prefers. We actually used this when we had an overload of butternut squash a few summers ago, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I was just trying to add it to different foods. So if you have butternut squash, if you have small ones like this, you'd want to probably use 2 or 3. If you had a large one, 1 would probably be fine. You could prepare this puree ahead of time, or you can just roast them as you're making your chili. Once your chili's done, you're just going to add your blended butternut squash to the chili. I tend to use a decent amount because we've actually learned to really love this in our chili. Once we did this once, we will never go back. It is now like a mandatory part of our chili recipe. And you actually can just mix it in. You could start with a little bit if you're really trying to be sneaky and make sure that your family doesn't realize it's there. But I would just go ahead and use a lot because now we actually know that it makes the chili taste a lot richer, it improves the flavor, and it really improves the consistency. So it drives up some of that like runnier broth. So you can see a lot of people wouldn't even be able to realize that the butternut squash is there. And I've just hidden an entire butternut squash in a batch of chili that will feed my family. So I feel great about that, even as a veggie lover, that I'm gonna get even more nutrients out of this food. So it's a really great way to add more vitamins and more minerals to the foods that you're already eating. So in our CSA group, this topic came up. Carrots were a really popular item to add to not only tomato sauces like spaghetti sauce, but also to homemade mac and cheese. That seemed to be a favorite. Sweet potatoes, same thing. Mashing up sweet potatoes, adding them to soups, stews, homemade mac and cheese. Another CSA member, I believe it was Chris, it was Chris, actually had a great suggestion to get in more greens. So pureeing some greens and doing the same thing, freezing them ahead of time so we can sneak them into sauces and soups and dishes that we already are loving and making anyways, so why not add some nutrients to them? Any questions so far? Awesome. All right, so here I actually have some blanched spinach. And if you don't know how to make blanched spinach, we actually just did a video on this last week. Super easy way to preserve some greens. You can do spinach, you can do lots of greens. So this is blanched spinach, which means I really just cooked it in some boiling water for about 30 seconds. And this is a pound of spinach. 1 pound in this container. So you know that that was a huge bag full of spinach that I really condensed down, which is awesome if you have family members that really don't necessarily like their greens that much, because you will be able to sneak in a lot of them in a really small amount. So I just am going to use this small, I think this is a NutriBullet, to blend these up. Add a little bit more fluid. You can do the same thing with if you are going to puree like carrots or squash or something. Sometimes if it's soft enough, you might just be able to mash it up with a fork. If you're going to use a blender, you can add a little bit of water or even broth. So now I've got this really dark green puree, and I am just going to add it to these cups. This is an entire pound of spinach, you guys. Even better, it is Shared Legacy Farm spinach. So for those of you that are in the Toledo area and have had Shared Legacy Farm spinach, you know that it's super sweet, it's organic, it was grown in great soil, so there's going to be a ton of minerals and great nutrients in here. All right, so we've got this in this tray. I would actually just pop this in the freezer, let it freeze, and then once it's frozen, I would do the same thing that I did with the carrot. I would actually just put it in a Ziploc bag. That way it's already pre-portioned out and I can just grab a little bit. Considering that there's 10 to 15 cups of spinach in a pound, each one of these little cubes has a few cups of spinach. So even if I just add one of those to my marinara sauce or to my soup, I know I'm really getting some good greens in my family's diet, and they're probably not even going to realize it. Any other questions about pureeing greens or anything? All right, so We've got soups, stews, tomato sauces, a lot of root veggies can be pureed and added. We've even got a great suggestion with the greens to be added. The next way is with ricing vegetables. And some people actually love this method. Cauliflower is what's used more commonly because you actually don't notice that it's there. You can rice cauliflower yourself in a food processor by simply washing the cauliflower, chopping it up, adding it to your food processor and just pulsing it a little bit, and it will become like a rice-like substance. You can also buy rice cauliflower frozen, which is what I did for today because I didn't have time to process some. So this is frozen rice cauliflower. It actually came with a little bit of carrots and peas, but you can see that it really resembles rice. So you could use this as a substitute for rice for your family. If you don't feel like they're totally ready to make the switch to cauli rice, I would just mix half and half. So I would actually take some rice cauliflower, I would add it to a bowl of regular white rice that I already have cooked. You could mix it up, and your family is not going to know that they are eating half rice, half cauliflower. They are going to think that it's rice. You could serve this by itself. You could also serve it in a casserole, or if you're making chicken fried rice or vegetable fried rice, this is a great way to get a more nutrient-dense meal in. I feel like we forget about cauliflower sometimes because it's not as colorful as the other veggies, and we're always focused on eating a lot of colorful foods. But cauliflower actually is loaded with vitamin C. It has almost 80% of what you need in a day of vitamin C. Do we have a question?
Do you pulse the cauliflower stems too, or just the florets?
I would just use the tops. Yep, I would use the florets. The stem you could actually save, and if you have a spiralizer, you could spiralize it if you wanted to, but I probably wouldn't actually turn it into the rice. It's going to be a little too hearty. Good question. Any others? All right, so if you are just now joining us, this is Cadie, Shared Legacy Farms CSA coach. We are talking about sneaking some more veggies in your family's diet, whether they realize it or not. So if you want to scroll back later on, if you have time, we've talked about pureeing veggies and hiding them in some of your favorite dishes. We just got done talking about rice cauliflower, so hiding it in rice or even eating it by itself. Next on our list is going to be finding some fun recipes. And this is really going to depend on your family and what they like. I found this great recipe for green spinach muffins. And now some kids aren't going to like green food, I realize that, but other kids are going to think that it's super cool. So I got these from a mom's blog that really focuses on hiding veggies in our kids' food. I will post the link to the recipe in the comments when we're done with the video, but these also have about a pound of spinach in them. They actually taste really great. I'm going to break one open to show you how green they are. So she calls these monster muffins. She recommends calling them whatever your children will think is fun. So whether they're green goblins or monster muffins, my toddler loves turtles, so I'm going with turtle muffins, although I'm realizing that might sound like they were made with turtles. But I think that's what's going to be the most successful for us. So you have to give them whatever name you want. But they actually taste great. They have a ton of spinach, bananas, cinnamon, vanilla, a little bit of flour. I actually subbed in gluten-free flour and it worked perfect. They freeze well, so if you made a batch and you just want to have 5 or 6 out, you can throw the rest in the freezer and use them next week. But this is a great, easy breakfast to have on hand, and they will be getting a lot of nutrients in them. You can also sub in beets if you don't want to use spinach to have pink, powerful muffins. So if you feel like you might have some pink lovers and not some green lovers in your house, using pureed beets would be another great option for this fun recipe. Again, I will post the link to the recipe in the comments. A really fun recipe. So getting creative in your kitchen and looking for some fun things that your kids might like is also going to be another good idea. Next on the list is getting your children involved. And we're going to talk more about this in our CSA group because I think it's a really important process, big picture, and teaching children how to cook at a young age and getting them more comfortable in the kitchen. Because I know that's something that a lot of adults actually struggle with, is just not knowing what to do and how to put together veggies and how to cook things in the kitchen. So the more we can do at a younger age, the more we're going to be setting ourselves up for success in the future. So a great way to get children involved is to make smoothie bags. This is a fairly easy process. And it allows them to kind of learn how to meal prep to get themselves ready for the week, but it also is going to allow them to get some vegetables in. So here, all you will need are some Ziploc baggies, and then whatever fixings you think you would want in your smoothies. So my rule when we're making smoothies is that we get to have a fruit, but we also have to have a vegetable. And you can kind of put out some different options, and they can pick which ones they want to put in their smoothie bags. And maybe they would be making 3 or 4 smoothie bags. These will last in the freezer for 1 to 2 weeks if you're using fresh greens. If you're not using fresh greens, it's probably going to last a little bit longer. So you could put all your options. You would get your bags ready. And in your smoothie bags, you or your children are going to be able to pick whatever toppings, I guess you could say, or ingredients that they want. And it's kind of fun because they can come up with different recipes that they like, and they can name them, and it's a fun activity for you guys to do in your kitchen together. So I usually like to put like half a banana in each one. I've got some frozen blueberries, but you could use whatever type of berries you wanted. So I've got some berries and a banana in one. In this one, I'm actually going to throw some frozen beets. So this was actually an exit strategy for some beets a while ago. They're cooked beets, and I chopped them up into pieces, and I just threw them in the freezer. So this is like an exit strategy for an exit strategy. So I'm going to put some beets in here, which if you've never had beets in a smoothie, it may sound weird, but it's actually pretty delicious because it really sweetens the smoothie up. So I've got beets in this one. I'm actually going to add a little bit of Shared Legacy Farm spinach to each one. Now again, because the spinach isn't blanched and it's fresh, it's probably going to be okay in the freezer for a week or 2, but after that, the nutrient content is going to start to diminish. So we do want to use these in a couple weeks. So you don't want to make 30 smoothie bags at one time. However many you think will last your family for a week or 2. So I've got 2 veggies in this one, a banana, I've got some berries, a banana, some spinach. I'm also going to throw some almonds in each one for some healthy fat and a little bit of protein, because especially if we're having these for breakfast, fat and protein are really what keep us the fullest the longest. So we don't want to eat a breakfast without any protein or healthy fat. So you simply just seal these. And you would throw them in your freezer, label them with whatever your names are for them or whatever flavors you kind of created. Keep them all in the freezer, and then during the week, or maybe even on a busy weekend, when you're in a rush and you don't have time to cook a super healthy breakfast, maybe you don't have any monster muffins on hand, you can grab one of your smoothie bags, grab your blender, and I know this is going to be super green because I already have the spinach in here, but you would grab your smoothie bag out of the freezer, pour all of your dried ingredients in your blender that are already together, so it's saving so much time compared to getting everything out at one time. You would add a little bit of milk or water, whatever you prefer, whether it's cow's milk or almond milk. You would put it in your blender. and you have what would normally be a bright pink smoothie because of the beets, but it is a little darker because of the greens. And you've got a smoothie ready to go for breakfast. So a really fast, effective way to get a good breakfast in, and another way to involve your children in the kitchen, and also teaching them that preparing a meal ahead of time is going to allow them to eat healthier throughout the week. Question?
Can you use almond flour in place of whole almonds for easier blending?
You could if you wanted to, although that may be an expensive thing to add to a smoothie. I would probably just go with some whole almonds, or you could maybe use another nut or seed, or maybe even a protein powder if you wanted to. But just because of the cost of almond meal, I don't know that I would waste it and add it to a smoothie because I know it can add up fast. Any other questions? All right. So smoothie bags, great easy go-to all year long. And then my last big tip, and this is really for adults and for children, is to get out of your comfort zone. And this is a big piece of it. We can't expect our children to get out of their comfort zone and try more vegetables if we aren't trying more veggies. So setting an example is going to be extremely important. As an adult, not complaining about having to eat vegetables, making sure you eat them. A child's probably not going to want to eat them if you're not. So kind of stepping out of your comfort zone. Since we are talking about Shared Legacy Farms and the benefits of being a part of a CSA now throughout the year, I will say that joining a CSA can be a big push in the right direction for a lot of people. If you want to find out if a CSA program is right for you, we have a freebie, a link that will take you to a list of questions to see if you might be a good fit for a CSA. It is sharedlegacyfarms.com/writecsa. sharedlegacyfarms.com/writecsa. Shared Legacy Farms CSA program, I will say as my 4th year as a member, is really more than just getting vegetables every week from a local farmer. It has really become more about being a part of a community where we really learn from each other, get recipe ideas, get tips, and we do a lot of videos like this in our group, not only about tips to get more veggies in, but how to store veggies, how to prevent them from going bad, cooking demos, looking at what comes in our veggie box each week and what can we do with each item. So Shared Legacy Farms CSA program is a lot more than just getting veggies. You kind of get both pieces of the puzzle. You get your veggies each week, and then you get a huge support system to help you use them efficiently and make them super tasty. So last piece of this for today is getting out of your comfort zone, trying things you wouldn't normally try, and learning along with your family or with your children. Thank you for watching today. Any last questions?
Could you teach us the formula for a smoothie sometime?
Absolutely. That's actually one of my favorite things to do. So looking at the formula for a smoothie, I always have a fruit, a veggie, a fat, and a protein. And that's a great suggestion for a video because those can all vary depending on what we like. So stay tuned. Hopefully this spring we will do a little smoothie video. Any other questions? All right, thank you all for tuning in. This is Katie, your CSA coach with Shared Legacy Farms, and I hope to see you soon.